Hey everyone! Today, we're going way back in time to talk about the Minoans, one of the most amazing civilizations of the ancient world. They lived on the island of Crete in the Mediterranean Sea during the Bronze Age. The Minoans were known for their incredible art, impressive buildings, and lasting influence on European history. Their palaces were massive and almost maze-like, filled with twisting hallways and huge courtyards. The walls were covered in colorful paintings, showing people jumping over bulls, grand parades, and beautiful sea creatures. The Minoans were also skilled craftsmen, creating detailed gold jewelry, fancy stone vases, and beautifully decorated pottery. The mystery of the Minoans really started to unfold in the early 1900s, when an archaeologist named Sir Arthur Evans began digging in Knossos, one of their ancient cities. Before his discoveries, people only knew about them from myths and legends. Evans found incredible ruins and realized this civilization had been way more advanced than anyone had imagined. He named them the Minoans after the legendary king Minos, and figured out different stages of their history by studying their pottery styles. Minoan culture first appeared around 3500 BCE, and lasted for thousands of years. Archaeologists have divided their history into different periods, based on changes in pottery and the rise and fall of their palaces. While they were peaceful for the most part, they still had conflicts and power struggles, just like any other civilization. Their biggest and most important palace cities were Knossos, Phaistos, Malea, and Zakros. These weren't just fancy homes for rulers, they were also places for government, trade, and religious ceremonies. The palaces had huge storerooms filled with wine, oil, grain, and other valuable goods. Around them were towns, villages, and farms, all connected by well-built roads. For a long time, these palaces worked independently, but around 1700 BCE, Knossos might have taken control of the island. One strange thing about Minoan cities is that they didn't have big walls or fortresses, which usually meant a civilization was peaceful. But archaeologists have also found weapons like swords, daggers, and armor, so it's possible that smaller fights and bandit attacks were common. Guardhouses and watchtowers along the roads suggest they had to keep an eye out for danger. Minoan palaces went through two big building phases. The first ones were built around 2000 BCE, but earthquakes and fires destroyed them. Instead of giving up, the Minoans rebuilt even bigger and better palaces. These lasted until around 1500 to 1450 BCE, when disaster struck again. Some think another earthquake or fire caused their downfall, while others believe they were invaded. No one knows for sure. Inside these huge palaces, the Minoans built staircases, drainage systems, shrines, and even small theaters for performances. They were fascinated with bulls, as seen in their artwork and traditions. They often painted images of sacred bull horns, double axes, and their famous bull leaping sport. This love for bulls might be why the legend of the Minotaur, a half-man, half-bull creature trapped in a labyrinth, became such a famous Greek myth. There's still so much to learn about the Minoans, and archaeologists keep making new discoveries. Even though their civilization disappeared thousands of years ago, and we don't know everything about their religion, but their art and buildings give us some clues. They held ceremonies where they made offerings, had big feasts, and even performed daring sports like bull leaping. Nature was a big part of their beliefs, with images of a mother goddess and a male figure surrounded by animals appearing in their art. Their palaces had open courtyards for ceremonies, and special rooms were designed for rituals that involved water and offerings. Bulls were clearly important, as they show up everywhere in Minoan culture, from paintings and pottery to the huge horn-shaped decorations on palace walls. Some of their religious events even took place in caves and on mountaintops, showing how connected they were to nature. The Minoans were also incredible artists and traders. They created their own writing systems, first using Cretan hieroglyphic and later linear A, though no one has been able to fully understand them yet. Instead of writing on paper, they carved their records into clay tablets and used special seals to stamp symbols into clay. Their pottery skills were impressive, with designs evolving from simple patterns to detailed images of plants, sea creatures, and animals. They also made sculptures, small figurines, and decorative vases from stone, bronze, and clay. Some of their artwork captures people in action-packed poses, which shows how much they valued movement and energy. Their wall paintings, or frescoes, were massive and often covered entire rooms, bringing scenes of nature, animals, and daily life to life in bright colors. The Minoans were also one of the first cultures to paint landscapes without any people in them, just nature in its pure beauty. As expert sailors, the Minoans traded with many other civilizations. They exchanged goods with Egypt, the Near East, and other Aegean islands. They imported copper, ivory, and luxury materials while exporting their famous pottery, olive oil, and wine. Some islands in the Aegean even adopted a palace-based society similar to Crete's. Minoan artists also traveled to foreign lands, decorating royal palaces with their artwork and spreading their unique style far beyond their home island. But like all great civilizations, the Minoans eventually fell. Around 1450 BCE, disaster struck. Many of their palaces and cities burned down and were never rebuilt. Knossos lasted a little longer, but it too eventually collapsed about 100 years later. Historians still debate what happened. Some think natural disasters, like earthquakes and the massive eruption of the volcano on Thera, now Santorini, caused huge destruction and tsunamis that wiped out coastal cities. Others believe that the growing power of the Mycenaeans from mainland Greece played a role, possibly by invading or cutting off trade. The truth is, it was probably a mix of disasters and outside threats that led to their decline. By 1200 BCE, the once great Minoan civilization had faded, and Crete wouldn't become an important center again until Greek settlers arrived centuries later.